that way and you say, what can I do today? What can I do in this moment to make this world a little bit better? And if that's making someone smile, that's a step. If that's complimenting someone for their work and having them go home really happy and feeling successful and having a heightened self-esteem, then that's part of it. If that's, helping a child out, that's great. It's not always doing charity work, and giving money away. That's all wonderful, but making the world a better place takes millions of shapes and forms when you look at how can I make a positive impact on the world around me.
Well, Jim, so I remember you saying that knowledge is expensive, and there is something more expensive than knowledge, and that's ignorance. And I know as a fact that you are tirelessly educate the people coming into your life, the people whose lives you are touching on a daily basis. What is the latest experience you had teaching people and giving them the chance to access specialized knowledge as you are the Maverick of branding? When is and what's happening next?
Well, I think, Marina, the best teachers are always students, and I'm still very much a student on a daily basis. I try to learn and be better. I try to make sure that when I go to bed at night, I'm a little bit wiser than I was when I got up that morning. And so it's not that I'm some sage, all-knowing individual and other people are not, but it's about sharing what I have learned in life or what my core competencies are with people, and then also taking back the learnings that they can give me, because I can learn from everybody. The biggest thing I think that I've done recently, beyond the working in the workplace and mentoring individuals, is I teach at university here. I teach young minds. Young Filipinos are fabulous students. They're very dedicated. They're very open-minded. And, the lessons are not just the book lessons, but the lessons are life lessons. Telling young people to break out of their comfort zone, encouraging them to pursue their dreams and to go after things, encouraging them to examine their value system and be clear on what they stand for. I tell all my students in the Philippines, because it's a fact, 100% of my students in their life will have a bribe offered to them, and they will also have a chance to cheat on their spouse. It's a 100% certainty. So the question is, what are you going to do when those time comes? So the bribe is in front of you on the table. What are you going to do? Are you going to take it or not take it? And you better be clear on that now, because when that moment appears, you don't know how you're going to behave if you're not clear on your value system. You can stand on a church altar and say, yes, dear, I agree to remain true until death do us part. But that's easy. When you're on the altar, you only have one person there standing looking at you back. You don't have somebody off altar in a bikini saying, hey, if you say no to this vow, I'm here. You don't have those kind of options. So it's easy. The question is, what do you do when you're confronted with an easy opportunity to cheat on your spouse? And I want them to think about that, and I want them to reflect now, because what they rehearse when they don't have to confront the situation is what they're going to do in real life. It's like practicing a sports skill so repetitively that once you get into the game, you can perform it. It's the same concept. They have to rehearse their principles. And as we say, a principle is not a principle until it costs you something, and there's a pain for it. So that's been my fun. The students they were very gracious. They always thank me, and, they have a party at the end of the semester and they buy me presents. But I always tell them I got much more out of them than I think I gave them. They keep me young. I'm in my mid-50s. There's no better way to keep your mind sharp than to be in front of 50, 20-year-old college students who want to go out and change the world and challenge you in everything that you think and do. And I encourage all senior executives, you have to stay connected to the youth. They keep you young. and they keep your mind sharp, and they challenge your thinking, and they make you think differently about the world and break the paradigms.
So as I remember, and I always like to tap into that idea, is you saying that while you don't have any control over outside events, you could take control and have power over your own mind and create your own reality. And that comes with a lot of strength. And I know that in your case, strength doesn't come from all the winning jobs you got around the world or from the big businesses you've been working with. Your strength comes from the amount of struggles you had to overcome all the time, from the hardship you had to decide not to surrender to, and you sent that message loud and clear all the time. Is your chance to become who you want to be and to be more. And actually, I use to be more, which is your mantra. I use that many times a day. So can you share with us some of the experiences where you had to use your principles in life and use the power of your mind to overcome and to win outside events which were apparently outside your control? Sorry.
Yeah, I think, again, it comes back to your principle. So if you have as a principle, I'm going to make the world a better place, then that has to guide your whole life. And that's a principle, which means there's going to be a cost to it. So let's take a statistic. In the world today, there's a statistic. Every human being in this world will have 3 opportunities in their life to give cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. The average person in this life will have 3 chances. But 99% of them never do anything with it. They have the chance, but they watch. Now, that's because maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe they do know what to do. Maybe they don't want to get involved. But, there's various reasons. And now you go back to 2006. I'm coming through an airport in Japan on my way back to Manila. I've just run a marathon in Chicago. My legs are stiff and dead. I'm hobbling through the airport. And we get to the security, and an old man in front of me, 3 or 4 or 5 people in front of me, he collapses, and his son catches him, and he's screaming in Tagalog, tatai, tatai, which is father, stay strong. And he lowered his father to the ground, and by the time his father was on the ground, he was dead. And you had thousands of people standing there, and only the heavy white American guy runs over, and I feel for the pulse, and there's no pulse. His dad's already dead, but it's only been 10 seconds. And so I rip open his shirt and I give this old man CPR. And it's CPR is not like the TV shows. It's disgusting. His false teeth come loose. They come into my mouth. His bowels released. I mean, he was making all kinds of noises. And on top of that, people watch Baywatch and they see people giving CPR to Pamela Anderson, and they say, "Oh, that's not so bad. You get to lock lips with Pamela Anderson." And people imagine if I'm walking through an airport and Angelina Jolie dies, I'll be very happy to give her mouth to mouth. Well, those aren't the kind of people that have heart attacks. The kind of people that have heart attacks are 75-year-old men with false teeth. And, they're not sex symbols. And you've got to get down there and basically kiss away. And then you've got to do chest compressions that are so intense, that are pushing the chest so far deep that it almost looks like you're killing them giving the chest compression. But you know what? We got him back breathing. We got him alive. He lived another 8 years, and we became dear friends. And yes, it was painful. Yes, the Japanese police interrogated me in great detail because, they had to investigate this incident in the airport, and I was basically looked at more as in skepticism than as any kind of hero. But you do what you have to do. When I was living in Nigeria, I've had experience, unfortunately or fortunately, in hostage negotiation. I was asked by a prominent foreign family there to help negotiate the release of their son from kidnappers in Lagos. I did the negotiation and I did the money drop, and the money drop was a scary thing where I was under observation to make sure there was no police involved. And, I'm out in the middle of a deserted beach with $300,000 cash, and I've got a sawed-off shotgun against the back of my head. And, there was a moment I was kneeling there yelling at the guy that he cocked the gun, and I closed my eyes and said, "This is it." And, it was a pretty tense moment. But you know what? We got that young man back. Every time I'm in London, he and I will meet and have dinner because he's now in London. And, the family was very thankful. And I think many people could have done that, but they chose not to. And these events shape you, because I do firmly believe what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But the important thing about those events is I had a choice. And I think a lot of people will say to me, like, for example, my parents died when I was relatively young. And, I'll tell people the story, when I was there, this age, my parents are already dead. And they'll say to me, "Oh, we're so sorry about that. Oh, my God, how did you do it?" Well, you know what? I didn't choose for my parents to die, and it just happened. And I had really two choices. I can lay around and take Valium and cry about it. I can commit suicide, or I can get on with life. And I chose to get on with life. And I don't think it's about the bad things that happen to us, because we don't have any control over those. What really measures a person and what builds a person is a simple question. What are the pains in life that you choose to embrace? I choose to embrace helping people that I don't know, even if it involves personal risk to me. And that involves doing a hostage negotiation and dropping money so I can save a young man who I'd never met, or giving mouth to mouth to a 74 or 75-year-old man in an airport who I'd never met. And those are what I would call burdens that I have chosen to embrace as part of my life. And that's the judge of a character of an individual, not what they went through involuntarily. It's what you voluntarily embrace as hardship that really forms the character. And that's a question I ask in every interview, because when I know what you choose to embrace, I know everything I need to know about you in terms of how you're going to fit in the job I have. And, those are the kinds of things I have chosen, and I'm proud of it, to help when nobody else will help. And to step into the fray and to put myself at risk for the benefit of another human being, even if it's someone I don't know. And in the case in Nigeria, I wrote a goodbye letter before I went and did the final drop. I wrote a goodbye letter to my children, and I explained to them, I might die tonight helping a 19-year-old boy who I've never met, but it's the right thing to do. And I want you to know that it's always the right thing to sacrifice yourself for another human being. It's the right thing to do. And that's a choice that I make. It's not an involuntary event in my life.
Wow, Jim, I know you've been devoting your life to good causes, and I know that your whole strength comes from inside, and you become a true master at giving. And would you say that giving is a way of life?
Absolutely. It's not a livelihood, but it is a principle and a way of life for sure. And certainly I'm trying in my life to do that. The difficulty you get with giving, Marina, is that sometimes a very smart person told me once, sometimes when you help, you hurt. And there are cases when, let's give an example. I'm a